Sunflower looking pretty there. Got an eggplant to pick pretty soon. But over here, I'm gonna pick that one right now. That's the Daikon. Let me pull it up for you. Yeah, there. Oh, that's a weird looking thing. It's like a glove. Yeah. Welcome back to Garden Runner. If you want to check out how I grow these things, check out my old videos on Runner's Garden. Since I had that channel, I made another channel devoted just to gardening. It's Garden Runner. Today, I'm going to make radish cake, otherwise known as lobogao in Mandarin Chinese. So I got some tiny daikons here. I say tiny because these things can get huge. These are Asian radishes, Chinese radishes, or daikon. Right now I'm just going to refrigerate these because I'm going to take a bike ride with my wife. And then I'm going to get to peeling and making these into the radish cakes. So stick with me. Just waiting for my wife here to get on the bike. I'm going to wear this outside. So I don't know, pollution particle protector for bike riding. It's all the rage here in Taiwan to wear these things. So anyway, about the radish cake. They're also called turnip cake, and you can find them in Chinese restaurants if you're from North America. Look for dim sum. It's one of the snacks. It's something that people have before the main meal, at least Taiwanese, Chinese people. It's also eaten for breakfast a lot here in Taiwan. Now, some people will use bacon in the preparation. There'll be little flecks of bacon in the radish cake. I don't have any of that on hand, nor do I want to. I'm trying to cut down on meat as much as possible. But I may use little baby shrimps, because we do have them. My wife has those somewhere in here. So I've cleaned them up a little bit. I took off the taproot there. Some of them had several longer tap roots on the bottom, and then I cut off the top stems there. This, incidentally, if you don't know how these look, they're underground, of course, and then they stick out with really huge leaves, you know, larger than my hand. And what was happening in my situation was I had a lot of caterpillars starting to eat those leaves down, so I figured I'd just harvest these. And I think I have enough to make my radish cakes. So right there in that state, I'm going to put them in a freezer bag and put them in the refrigerator. Put them in a Ziploc, a larger Ziploc bag. And then later on, when I come back from my bike ride, I'm going to grab a potato peeler and just take off the outer layer there. You can really smell them right now. There's a pungent odor. It's kind of like the red radishes, if you're familiar with those little red ones. It's the same kind of smell. But when you cook them up and boil them, that pungency goes away. And we're going to be basically left with a cake after I get through the process. It's going to taste more like a potato than a radish. Got them in a Ziploc bag here. I went up to show my wife, and she said, "Wow, unbelievable." It's not that great, really. These are really small. But she suggested giving one to her mom. So, you know, you never want to let a chance go to impress your mother-in-law. So I'm going to give her one of those and then use the other three. It was kind of a negotiation. She didn't want me to make the lobogao or radish cake because it's, you know, labor intensive. And she knows her mom likes the radishes. So I'm going to give her mom the biggest one there for her cooking and work on the other three and make my cakes. Got a surprise gift from some friends. They just went to an orchard, picked some oranges. They look great. Thank you. They're getting smaller. They look like potatoes. I'm supposed to grate these, but I diced them, and I'm going to try to put them in a magic bullet. See if I can get them chopped finer than that. That is actually working much better than I thought it would. It was important that I did this in pulses, and then sometimes stopped the magic bullet, and I took the top off of there and shook it around a little bit. Put it back on. And it seemed to dice them up pretty well. So I ended up with about 2 cups of the Daikon radish diced, blended. Well, I got this stuff over a flame waiting for a boil. It's like porridge. Only one mushroom left. So take this one and just soften it up in our little water here. Bloop! Oh, that didn't work. It floats. Let's push it down there. This is going to soften, and then I'm going to squeeze it out and cut off this really hard stem. I ended up forcing it down with a knife. I'm dunking him. Little baby shrimps. I put a teaspoon of sugar and just a little dash of rice wine in that mixture that's still boiling. Supposed to go for 30 minutes here. I was supposed to loosely fry the mushroom, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want to waste another pan, and I'm going to just cook them in that pot that's already boiling. I put the, you can't see them now, but I put the baby shrimp in there. And so now we're going to dump this in there. And I'm going to take some of that stuff, that's the liquid that's boiling off there, and I'm going to pour about a cup of it into the flour. Correction, that's about 2 cups of the broth from that mixture of the radish that was on the stove. I poured it in there, and this is the flour, so I'm stirring it up and make it nice and smooth. I put that whole batter into the saucepan with the daikon. I'm going to mix that all together under low heat. Alright, it's starting to look like something now. Here's my pot on the stove. I have about a 1/2 inch of water in there, and there's a steaming dish on the bottom, so that casserole dish is elevated. Casserole dish is not touching the sides of the pot. That's very important. So I read. And I'm going to steam this for about an hour. If the water goes down too low, I'm going to add a little bit more. Let's give it a test. Looks like it's starting to harden up. 1 down, 1 to go. This is hardened up, so I'm going to put it in the refrigerator. Tomorrow I'm going to fry it up. Check out my homegrown sunflowers here. Got some organic bananas. The tree is about 5 or 6 miles away from where I'm standing right now. I got this from Nadia's parents. I'd like to thank them. They're looking delicious. I can eat them pretty soon. If anybody knows about Nadia, she's doing a little bit better now. There are improvements. She's able to move the right side of her body and follow commands. She can look and smile. And we're really so happy to have her still with us. Put a little soy sauce on there.